questions for Abram Smith.
Abram, can you talk about the poise y'all showed? You got down by 11, and you came back with 2 long touchdown drives.
I think for the most part, our motto is pound the rock. So even when you hit like a little bit of adversity, we didn't start it off how we wanted to. We didn't, play the ball that we wanted to at the first half. We knew we had to finish strong. We had to come out and be the team that we knew we were.
How fun was that touchdown?
So I don't know. I pulled a little moves out of Treston's book, so I got a little busy. Thankful for the moves he showed me. So it was nice to actually go out there and do something else besides run through people.
Did it seem like the guy might have had you in the backfield? I mean, did you have to break away from him? What happened? Did it just run away like that?
For the most part, when I got the ball, he was kind of like right in my face, so I just threw like a little stiff arm and a spin, and I got out of the tackle. And then as soon as I got out into open space, I seen I had a receiver out there. Can't remember if it was RJ or Taekwon, but I knew I was going to fit off their block. And after running the ball so hard, I didn't really think the safety was going to want to fill the way he wanted to. So it gave me that little crease, and I just took it and ran with it.
Abram, is that the loudest you've heard the crowd since 2019?
Yeah, it's pretty loud. It was actually sent chills throughout my body whenever we had that 4th down stop. So it was actually really great just to hear them and just see them get active with the game.
There was a lot of hype around Bijan Robinson coming into this game. Does this kind of show that you guys have some pretty good running backs too?
Honestly, I feel like, in the backfield we got some weapons as well. So I think for us, that's something that, we wanted to prove a little bit that we got a couple weapons in the backfield and we play bully ball the same way he does.
Abram, Texas hung back with 2 safeties most of the game, kind of invited y'all to run the ball. Did you kind of take that as not like a slight, but, like, all right, if you're going to hang back, we're going to push it down your throat?
Exactly. When you see that all the time, and on top of that, you get linebackers flowing over the top, you got cutbacks, you can pretty much run the ball wherever just about. So when you see the 2 high safeties, it's like, okay, so you're just going to allow us to run the ball, so we're going to take every opportunity that you give us.
Was that the message at halftime?
That was exactly the message at halftime.
Abram, what do you think is different about your game individually from Texas State to where it is now?
I think, honestly, I'm more physical than what I was. Going into it, I knew, I can be a downhill runner, but I was kind of in the yellow, but now I'm playing full green behind my pads. So I think for me, actually, from Texas State to now is, just the ability to actually use all my strengths to my advantage.
Do you think your touchdown run, the 32-yard run, is a run that maybe you wouldn't want to try if this was like Texas State in the opener?
Definitely wouldn't want to try that in Texas State, for sure. I think, I got more confidence. I started doing more stuff in practice, So just being able to take it from practice to the game was just amazing.
Abram, you talked about bully ball. Treston seems like he's got a little bit of that mentality now. I saw him run
Yeah.
a couple of guys and get up
Hey.
Have you seen a change in him?
Yeah, like I've been saying, Treston, he's developed and grown into a completely different runner. He's not the looking for a big play type of dude anymore. He's more like, hey, let me get, efficient yards. If somebody's in the hole, then I'm going to be my own blocker. I'm going to go through that man just like you saw on that sideline. So just seeing him do that, it gets the sideline crazy.
Abram, you ever just have a lot of confidence y'all can close games? It seems like y'all.
I think we have a lot of confidence, period, on both sides of the ball. I think as a team, we just have a lot of confidence just going into every single game. So whether we hit adversity or not, I think it's for the most part we know that we're going to be able to bounce back when our backs are against the wall.
Even was there a point in that second half at all where you just knew that, okay, we worn them down in the physical season, kind of do that really well on the ground?
Yeah, you can see the hands on the hips, those guys that were tired on their side of the ball. And we knew, hey, we do, fastballs on Monday, and we're running, so we're in shape. So we knew from the go, hey, when we got to that point that we've been, pounding the rock, and you can see how it was affecting them, and the holes just went from little creases to, you could put a train through there.
It seemed like there was a lot of pitches today on y'all's side. Maybe more than usual, just whether it was like an option type run or just a pitch to you or Treston. Was that something that you guys thought you saw on film would be effective? Or?
We just really wanted to, I guess you could say, keep them honest, as we're going through the run wide zone. You got the jack, whoever it is, just keeping that edge. If they don't keep the edge, then we're gonna get on the outside of them. So I think for the most part, we wanted to kind of just take advantage of that area.
Even from 2017, 1-11 into
coaching change into Big 12 championship, 2-7 today. How do you begin to sum up the roller coaster of your career?
Man, still riding the roller coaster, of course. But just coming from all that, just a lot of, I think, as a lot of guys who are still on the team, now just a lot of adversity, a lot of battling against all kinds of things, and then, just working through all that, and then finally just letting it show out on the field. And I think from 2017 to now, I mean, you can look at the guys. The guys who are there, we're a lot stronger than what we were, and we're actually thankful for that.
Abram, why is this team 7-1?
I mean, we're confident. We're confident in our abilities, both sides of the ball, like I said, and we like to get after it. We like to just pound the rock all day, like literally all day. So we practice against each other in practice. I mean, it's one-on-ones, the ones-on-ones, best on best. I mean, when we go out there, we know that it should be harder on what we did on Tuesday than what we did in the game.
When you guys installed this offense back in the spring and you made the move over, could you have imagined that you guys would have come as far as you have in terms of how in sync you guys are and how efficient you guys are?
100%. You can see the guys working, working to get better every day, and we're still working now. So for us to get where we are now, I knew it was going to happen. We just constantly grinded for it, though.
Abram, you see all this every day, but does Coach Grimes ever surprise you with some of the calls that he makes? Like, I was thinking about the Ben Simmons deal.
Oh, no, I mean, like our offense. I mean, we run all kinds of jets and everything. So I think when you see that, I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all, actually.
Abram, when you came out of high school, you had hardly anybody. Also, a couple of others. Did you ever imagine this from where you were after the injury in high school and even earlier in your career at Baylor?
I mean, my mind was set on it. I think I wanted to just be the best that I can possibly be. So even with the injuries and everything that came with it, I knew I had a goal, and I wanted to go to the next level. I wanted to come here. So I just kept working for it. So back then, when I didn't have really anybody, I mean, I had my family. So they kept me straight and they kept me going, and that's why I am where I am now.
Abram, Gary's been really good at taking care of the ball, but first half today he struggled a little bit. What did you see from him on the sideline and how he responded to throwing those two interceptions?
He didn't get down, that's for one thing. He knew what his job was. He knew what he can do. So despite all that, I mean, he still led with complete confidence, and he was out there just like nothing happened. So for him to, we went over there, of course, we picked him up and everything, but we already knew, like, he was in a whole different mode after all those.
Abram, when you see the defense flying around making plays, do you ever miss being on that side of the ball?
When I see Terrell and Petey smack someone, yes. Sometimes I'm like, man, I thought I had one in punt today, and I got a little bit too excited and missed the tackle. But every time I see him, smack somebody, I mean, like, man, I want to go out there and do that. So then when the time for the offense to go out on the field, I just do it the other way.
Abram, was there any talk?
Do you think your time as a linebacker, when we had that first conversation of you making that move, Terrell drops out, and you said you kind of were doubting yourself at that start for the first time at Texas Tech, and he walked up to you and said, no, you got this. And now you say you run like a linebacker on the offensive side, looking for those hits, not afraid to make that gap yourself and be your own blocker. Your mindset, your total switch to see where you are right now. Do you think that time at linebacker helped?
Absolutely. I mean, when you're going out there and you're pretty much making tackles, you're hitting people, you're going full speed, and, you're trying to make them feel you, and whenever I got into that running back room, that's one thing, like, I wanted to establish with pretty much everybody in the room. And, Juice is one of the main, like, hitters on that, bully ball, like I said, and he knew he has the same mentality that I have. So when I went from linebacker to running back, I just kept that, and I think at linebacker, it's hard to lose, wanting that physical contact. So whenever I see a safety, a corner, or even a linebacker, I just, I get a little jolt of energy.
Abram, was there added emphasis on this game? Maybe this is the last time Texas comes to Waco in the Big 12 that you want to send to the SEC with a loss?
Honestly, we don't even give that any thought. We were more like, hey, this is a good team coming in. They got a lot of talent. We have a lot of talent. Let's put, our identity against theirs and our standard against theirs, and let's go out there and do like a little 12-round championship fight.
Abram, how would you sum up the performance both today and throughout the season of that offense?
I mean, our offensive line, correct? Yeah, they're great. They're amazing, honestly. what I do, I couldn't do without them, and they know that, and I tell them every time I get off that field. So, I mean, I give all the credit that I ever do or what I'm doing now to them.
Anything else? Thanks, Abram.
How y'all doing?
All right, questions for Jalen Pitre?
Jalen, when y'all were down by 11 early in the third quarter, what was the mindset of the team? Did y'all have a lot of confidence that y'all could turn this thing around?
Yeah, definitely. From a defensive standpoint, we looked at the plays that they made, and the deep touchdown to the receiver was a bust, so we knew that was under our control. And then the turnover by the offense, we knew that we was put in a bad position, but it happens. Like, we understand that that's a part of the game. We knew that that wasn't going to continue to happen. So we just had the confidence that we was going to go out and they was going to have to push the whole field. And they did that sometimes, but I think for the most part, we held our own, and we got the win today. So thankful for that.
Jump over a lineman on a sack?
No, that was the running back. I seen him trying to cut me, so stuck my hand in there and tried to get the ball out.
How fun is that when you start
Oh, it's real.
flying around like that?
Yeah, definitely. It's real fun. When I get my number called, I'm going lights out, and I hope to get to the quarterback and get that sack or get the ball out.
When you come on those field blitzes, so many times, what y'all want to do is get you matched up on a running back or a tight end. It seems like what you're so good at is just blowing that guy up, sometimes trying to go around. Is that kind of like you put your head on the pillow at night and you think about blowing that running back up?
Yeah, I try to be mean when I'm coming. I know that they don't like it when you run straight into them. Some of the tight ends probably do because I'm a little bit smaller than them, but I feel like I can get them sometimes. But for the most part, I just thank my coaches for calling that play, and they putting their trust in me, so I'm trying to get to the quarterback with whatever I need to do. So that's kind of the mindset when it comes to blitzing off the edge.
Jalen, how did you guys, it obviously worked out because you got him off the field quickly. 2-minute defense, was that kind of the idea, was to just kind of bring a ton of pressure on Thompson and make him rattle? How'd you guys want to play that?
Yeah, so Coach Aranda, if you guys don't know, we practice 2-minute almost every day. So that's something that we're really conditioned on and something that we really, practice a lot. We have a couple of blitzes in that package and a couple of dropbacks, but for the most part, we just wanted to, play sound football. We did blitz a couple of times in that last 2 minutes, and I think it was executed well. So it was good to see us go out there and do that in that last 2 minutes of the game.
What was the plan against Bijan Robinson? I'm sure, like a lot of folks, you've heard a ton about him, and he's put up, a lot of yards this year. What was coming into it? What was kind of the plan with him? Because obviously, it didn't seem to work.
Yes, sir. I feel like coaches, showed us great tape on him and showed us what he was able to do, especially in the open field. But they emphasized the part about standing your gap integrity, and also when he does, break the line that we're all running to the ball. So I think when you add those two, it's very hard for a running back to, break those long runs and get that momentum that they need to, get going and get the offensive line going. So I think the D-line and the linebackers did a great job today. I know just being in it, I didn't really have to make too many plays because the linebackers are scraping over the top when the tight ends are going cross, and they're making the tackles. So it was good and fun to be out there and stop the run today. I think overall we did a great job at that.
Jalen, how big was the crowd? When it felt like they were just sat there full strength?
Definitely. It was probably the middle of the third quarter. I looked around. I was like, oh, wow, it's lit in here. Like, it's packed, and they're staying with us. So it definitely brought us some great momentum, and I think it helped in the win for us this week.
Texas put the ball in the air a lot, and you guys had to go out and, make some plays, and there were a lot of pass breakups. Just how good are the ball skills of y'all's defense?
Yeah, that's something that we try to get better on each week. And I think our confidence is growing, especially in the back end when the ball is in the air. I know you guys seen JT get another pick. He just is like a magnet to the ball. So we really take pride in that, and we try to become receivers when the ball is in the air, and we trying to, get those interceptions. So that's a big emphasis. We're also trying to get turnovers. So when the ball is in the air, it's as much ours as it is theirs. Big credit to their receivers, though. We did, believe that they had some great receivers, and they did make a couple good plays today.
Do you get on to JT for not scoring there when he gets in the open field like that?
Yeah, I actually seen it, and I was like, okay, JT's going. He's a track runner. He's going to score. Then I seen him start to cut him off. I'm like, JT, pitch it back. But it's so loud in there. It's so loud in there, so he didn't hear me. But after he told me that he was thinking about pitching it back. I don't know if he really was, but. he's really good when it comes to, you know, returning interceptions and very fast. So it's always good to get the ball in his hands.
Jalen, you talk about him being the magnet. You seem to be the same way. Another takeaway for you. How big was that at a time when Texas was driving, you know, with a chance to score again?
Which takeaway? Oh, on the fumble. Yeah. Like I said, Coach believed in me. He sent me on a blitz, and I got there. I felt like I was close enough to the quarterback to reach in and get it. Got it down, and I think that was a big play in the fourth quarter, and it definitely gave us some momentum and led to that third down stop by Christian Morgan. So it was great to, you know, get in there and get that ball out and, you know, cause some havoc for the defense.
Y'all went 3-0 at home here in October. How big was that to maybe set y'all up for, you know, really good close in November?
It's huge. Every time I'm in a game and I'm like, it gets hot, and I know I'm at home, I just think back to summer workouts when Coach Vic and all the strength coaches were running cross fields on the field, and I'm like, I got to push through. I got to be mentally tough. And I think that really helps me when I'm at home. I think that's a big thing that the coaches instilled in us, and I think it's definitely helping. So coming down the stretch, I think these next couple of home games is going to be big for us, and we're looking to go out there and execute and get the win.
Going back to JT, you mentioned that he's kind of a magnet for turnovers. Is that something schematically that puts him in a position to be in the right place, or is that something more that's just he has a knack for it?
It's definitely a mix. Probably more of the knack, but it's definitely a mix. Coach Roberts puts him in great positions to make plays, and he does a great job of executing. But yeah, I would say it's definitely a mix. But he's definitely a ball hawk as well. Like he's a receiver out there on defense.
Jalen, how much would you explain your eye block to us?
Oh, so every week I watch either a movie or something along those lines to make me, you know, get some motivation and make me, you know, feel like a guy, like a movie character, kind of. So I watch He Got Game every week. I watch The Last Dance, and those are kind of the inspirational things that I draw from to get my eye black. This week it was some Michael Jordan, episode 8, just a little bit of the him being that guy for the team and coming back to that team after he went to baseball. So that's kind of where this came from this week.
Jalen, how much would you attribute this team's success to the maturity? You guys got a lot of experienced guys up and down the roster. How much has that played a role in your success this year?
It's played a huge role. Like I said, we did give up 2 touchdowns early. One of them was an easy touchdown for Texas. And we wasn't rattled. Coach Roberts talked to us in a week. He said they're going to have some great plays in. They're going to have a couple of trick plays, and they might make some plays. It's just about us, you know, sticking to the assignments and sticking to the scheme and playing all 4 quarters. So I think the team did a great job at that, and I'm seeing the leaders, you know, step up and, you know, be vocal about that, and that really helps the team chemistry as a whole. So that time that we've been here has definitely helped, and that maturity is definitely a key in these wins.
How sweet was Abram Smith's spin move?
He's the truth. He the standard. Like, I'm seeing him, y'all seen him last year play linebacker, but we all knew the type of player he was, and he's just developing. He's always going to be that tough guy, but he's always trying to, you know, find new ways to get better. And I heard him in the back say he took that from Treston, but I've seen him work on that. So it's good to see it work in the game and see him be successful with that. And, you know, it was fun to watch.
We're going to get Coach up here. Thanks, Jalen.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good one.
It's good to see you guys, you know, coming off the bye week and the work that we did as a staff on self-scout. A lot of those things came up in this game. And so proud of the staff to put in the work. I think, you know, when you're grinding on yourself and your tendencies and kind of the good and the bad, I think the natural human instinct is to kind of get on with the big game that's kind of ahead of it, and for our guys to stay focused on us and pick up tendencies and tells and things that an opposing view would see that maybe you know, an offense or a defense won't see. I appreciate that because that came up today. And then, you know, I think the time that we spent on our players, the good and bad tapes, I think there's, you know, really kind of getting to where, hey, man, this is where we see you. This is what you've done. This is who you could be, right? This is the greatness that I see in you, man. This is what's standing in the way. Let's get out the way. A lot of it was that. And I think you saw guys today that battled adversity, whereas, you know, a couple weeks ago we were in some adversity and didn't handle it as well as we'd like. And so to be able to see guys handle adversity today, individually, some big battles, and for us to come out on top with that, I credit the players, I credit the coaches for seeing people. And, I think just the team starting fast, I think that was the intention. And then I think, getting punched in the face by a really good Texas team, I think was anticipated. And so it was good that we were able to get our hands back up and throw some punches of our own. Proud of this team. I'll take any questions you guys got.
Dave, does it just seem like this team has a lot of confidence in it in close games? You have done that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just keep playing until like the time runs out. I think like there is a fair amount of things out of halftime. I think offensively, for example, whereas some of it with the bye is like, what are they going to do, right? How are they going to play us? And so you're always fighting the instinct, I think, when you have a bye and you're watching games and maybe you're peeking at some NFL games or maybe you're peeking at this and that, and it's like, hey, these things could be really good for us. Whereas, generally the stuff that we're really good at is generally the stuff that's good for us. And I think, I thought we handled that for the most part really good. But after that, first half, some self-inflicted wounds, some caused by their read of us and their attack. I thought we were able to really say, hey, man, here's 8 calls that we were doing. Let's make it now to 3 calls, okay, and get your eyes on this guy. If he does this, do that. And we were way clean on that. I think they were bringing their outside backer and playing cover 3 to the field, and so the boots were hard there. I think the first play, second half, was a boot in the boundary, And I think run game-wise, we were able to get some formations that got us a front that we wanted. And so credit the coaches. They really went to work with halftime adjustments. Proud of them.
Dave, coming into this game, there's a lot of hype around Bijan Robinson. Obviously, he's a very talented player. It's never a, running back versus running back matchup in football, but does it show today that you guys have some pretty good running backs as well?
Well, I think when I look at Texas, when I look at this team, they want to throw the ball. They want to be multiple. They want the kind of the explosive big play. And I think the running back plays a part in that. But I think they're just from defending them, not talking to anybody over there. But I think that feels like that's the approach. And I think for y'all, that looked like that was the approach today, And I think for us, like, we want our big people to get in the face of their big people and lean on them and push them and hit them. And we want to feed our backs again and again and again and again. So I think, it's a different approach.
Dave, what did you see from your defensive front today?
I thought they played the run really well. Proud of them. We've talked before about cars and trucks and all that, and they did a lot of the heavy lifting today. I think a lot of them had double teams. A lot of them were pushing weight. I think pass rush-wise, we've got to get better. I think, right now we're trying to find the middle way. When we pass rush, we dip and rip, get skinny, and get up the field. I think there's too many third down conversions of us getting past the level of quarterback stepping up, finding receivers that are curled up over the middle of the field. Those are pass rush lane problems. We've been battling this. This was something that happened a couple of weeks ago with BYU too. And then you can go all the way back, probably the first game, instances of that. And I think as an adjustment, we're trying to work on that throughout the game, and then we get to where we're bull rushing and not really getting a rush. In between those two extremes, he's working an edge, working technique, not rushing past the level of the QB. And so I think we get to that phase of it, we're going to have a really stout D-line.
Dave, Jalen mentioned about your two-minute defense. Execution for Texas there about as good as you could have asked for that front.
It was. I think the crowd had a lot to do with that, to be honest. I think, just McLean kind of waking up and how loud it was, and I think the juice that was, I felt it kind of just standing still on the sideline, but I know on the field it was very much felt, and I think it aided in their rush for sure.
Dave, one penalty in just 2 games. Can you talk about the discipline that goes into that?
You know, I'm proud of them. I think, you know, I feel like they're listening. I think it's hard when you're used to playing a certain way. I think it's difficult to change. You know, I think everyone's got habits and everyone's got routines and stuff, and especially if you're, you know, 4 or 5 years in or something like that, it's hard to change. And so I appreciate that they kind of see it. And you know, I think it's like thinking's hard. It's like way easier to judge, and for them to be open and kind of work through all of that, I think, you know, it helps us. You know, we can just focus on the opponent and not have to fight ourselves.
Dave, what did you think of Gary's poise after the 2 picks in the first half, and how has that trait helped you this year?
You know, it's huge. I think I was referring to him earlier. He was one of the guys. I think, you know, so in our slot sets, they were playing palms look. The corner is reading the number 2 receiver. If 2 was running out, corner would kind of nail down, and the safety would work to get over top of 1. We had been throwing a fair amount of out routes out of those looks. It's kind of a self-scout thing. I think it is good work by them. And so some of those throws early on, I think you guys all saw, were kind of bang, bang throws, you know. And so receiver catches it, right? Tight end catches it to the field, guy right on him. And I think that spooked Gary. And then I think he's trying to be perfect with stuff, which, you know, I don't think you can live or play with that type of approach. And so I think we talk about playing yellow, like trying to be, you know, is it a go? Is it a stop? What should I do? And so I think for him to push past that, I think that allowed our offense to take that next step. And I think that is something that we really can't do for him as much as we would all like to think that we can. I think he's got to do that for himself, and so way proud of him.
What did you see on their fake punt? I mean, did it seem like he was maybe going to try to throw the ball? When you...
It did. I'm just glad it didn't work. You know, we had worked on that look quite a bit, and so we were calling that out prior. And so guys were communicating that, and guys were on it. I give Coach Powledge a lot of credit for that. You know, Griffin Speaks was on that unit, and he's communicating it and stuff, and it's really cool to see, you know, the work you put in a critical spot like that come out.
Dave, earlier this week, you talked about how Sark really likes to try and hit those shot plays.
Mm-hmm.
Went back and watched the national title game
Mm-hmm.
against Alabama, and you were keeping a lot of your safeties back.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like this game, just from what I know from right now, it seemed like you elected to, instead of keeping those guys back a lot, to kind of stick to who y'all have been this year
Mm-hmm.
and play up front. What was that decision like, to whether you want to be aggressive or try and prevent all those shot plays?
Yeah, I think it goes back to some of that is self-scout stuff, and so I think it's funny, you know, because I think, you know, instances or circumstances like this show up, and we just call them different things, but it's always the same thing. It's like, here's, here is something that we do well or something that we know, and maybe we can improve on it. Maybe, you know, there's an area to get better, but then here's something else that, you know, the people that don't give up big plays, here's what they do, right? And it looks all shiny and new. You know, we call that like the Bernstein Bears search. You know, there's a Bernstein Bears book on old hat, new hat, where he wants a new hat, Papa Bernstein Bear, and he's trying all these hats on, and it's like too tight, too loose, too colorful, right? Too shiny, and he finally puts on his old hat. And so that's what that was. But I think you have to go through that, though, because I think if you don't go through that, right, you're not asking the right questions, and you're not getting the answers that your opponents are getting.
Dave, you talked about your running back's tendencies. Did that look a little bit like Tristan on Abram's 32-yard run? And then I saw Tristan run over guys.
It's pretty neat. I think those are the things that and those two specific examples you give. I think Gary, we just talked about. You know, there's a few others, right? Ben is going through stuff too. I think guys are are letting themselves be coached. Guys are listening. Guys are feeling connected to a team, and it's special when stuff like that happens. And it's great. That's the difference. Is that, as opposed to what we're talking about, plays and everything. It's that.
Dave, to elaborate a bit more specifically, I know Abram said that it sent chills down his body on that fourth down stop there at the end. I mean, the crowd, the atmosphere, did it feel like it made a tangible difference in the game today?
It did. Yeah, I think that, and that's the advantage of being at home, is when you have that. And I think we had guys, I think, on benches with towels, and it got really loud during those times, and I could see offensively, right, they're rattled because they're using hand signals and trying to get on the same page with protection. I think we were showing a bear look and trying to get 5 for 5 to bring an extra guy to get him one-on-one on the back. I think it was Terrell at that time. And so I think, when you get it loud and they can't just talk like this, and now all of a sudden they got to use sign language, and did you see it right, or did you communicate it? I don't know, and I don't know what's going on. And then you bring somebody that's not an account, it's to your advantage.
Dave, the Taekwon pass play,
Say again?
the Taekwon pass play, what did that concern?
Oh, yeah, that's, Grimey's had that. I think the last time we tried some trick plays, I think, was Oklahoma State, and didn't end up like the ones we did today. And so I think he'd been working back up the ability to call those things. And so, I'm glad that we did. I think all of that, what that does is it gives us some juice. I think it probably pisses off the other side, but I think it gives the sidelines some energy when a guy that's generally not a thrower becomes a thrower.
How much did you feel like you could lean on them and really wear them down, given your guys' physicality?
I think, we had to work to get it. I think they're a big physical group as well, and so we really had to work to get the angles that we wanted to get. And I think in the beginning in the game, we had some success running the ball. And then we, similar, I guess, to, I felt a little bit like Iowa State in that sense. We ran the ball early, and you could feel it, that well kind of drying up. And I think I go back to just the growth. The difference with this time is finding formations and finding adjustments to get the angles to continue to run the ball. That's a big difference.
Dave, at one of those low points last year, I had told you were 7-1, you just beat Texas, and you're heading into November. What would you have said?
Probably time for a nap,
Dave, there were a number of plays today, whether it was Walcott, whether it was Boone Barnes, JT, where your DBs just made incredible plays on the ball. How good was that to see?
It was good. I think, that's one of the strengths with the defense is that we're at our best, we're heavy zone, and the eyes and their ability to get breaks and drives and either disrupt the play or make an interception. That's the strength of it. And so I think, their quarterback has struggled, right, throwing into coverage, throwing it up when he's pressured. And I think those things we were able to force, especially in pressure situations, aided by the home crowd.
Dave, how much, pulling out of a 11-point second half thing, so how much of that is just you've got a roster full of guys who've got a lot of football?
I think that's true. I think there is, all of this stuff, man. I look at it like the roots, and they go way deep with a lot of these guys. And so I think it's about, the connection with just Baylor in general, with everyone that touches football. I think, they're playing backed up. They're not playing out there on their own. I think that makes a big difference. And then I think, they have experienced the good and the bad, and they know what that's like. And I think, their improvement from Oklahoma State, where there was adversity, right, and things are not looking good. Things are not being this isn't the way we practice it. This isn't the way it's supposed to go, right? And kind of how you realign and how you re-engage, I think, was much improved today. You know, we're going to have to do it on the road, you know, with a home crowd that's going to do what we did today. But I think it's a big step to get in some adversity and fight through it.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.